And we are live. Sorry about the sound quality today. It's gonna be a little bad. Just live with it. Nobody watches these videos but me anyway, so I don't care.
That's not entirely true. I watch them from time to time.
It's mostly true though. But yeah, so we are actually also doing something very different today because we had a couple players out, and then based on some discussion and the fact that we were going to add in some new characters to our Dead Sons game, we actually decided that it would be better to go ahead and reboot. So today we are doing a session 0 of the Dead Sons game, and we are going to create a new party and all that kind of fun jazz. So, why don't we go ahead and start with, let's see, where's the great template? Okay. So let's go ahead and go through the root templates. So, first question is, does the game master need the group to be something in particular for my plot? In this case, kinda. So, let's do maybe a quick overview of Starfinder and the Dead Sons Adventure Path, just so that people kind of know what's going on. So Starfinder is a sci-fantasy setting that is set in the future, some fairly significant time. There's a specific date, I don't remember it, after the Pathfinder world and DeLorean and all the stuff that people are a little bit more familiar with, except Jason, because he hasn't played any actual Pathfinder. Just my little funny game.
We should do an actual Pathfinder thing with them sometime so they can see, like, ye old Pathfinder.
Yeah. But yeah, so the broad strokes of what's going on is that it is set in the future, and there's been this event called the Gap, which is a period of time where just no records exist of that time, nobody remembers it, and it's a significant portion of time. You want to know what the time is? Well, it's when Pathfinder is set. So conveniently, nothing that is happening in the still existing Pathfinder can affect Starfinder because nobody knows what's happening. So that's the reason for the gap. But yeah, so there's been the gap, and everybody was lost for a while. So basically, it would be like if you were sitting at work and typing away on your spreadsheet, entering all the numbers, and then suddenly you just snapped out of it and realized you still know how to do everything that you knew how to do, and you still know that you were typing numbers into a spreadsheet, but you don't know why. You have no context. You don't remember what happened to your life at that point. You don't remember your childhood. You don't remember your job. You don't remember who's the president, what year it is, nothing. So obviously that threw everything into complete just anarchy for a short period of time before people were able to actually start getting stuff under control again. But because all knowledge of how to actually do things still existed, it didn't result in like a second Stone Age or anything. So then civilizations were building themselves back up and travel between, well, so another thing that's weird is the planet the Pathfinder set on, DeLorean, just disappeared. Nobody knows where it went. In its place, where it used to be, is a giant space station known as Absalom Station. And this station is floating where the planet used to be. Nobody knows why the planet is gone, or why this station was created, whether it was originally orbiting the planet, or it was an arc because of some horrible thing that was destroying the planet. Nobody knows. Could be anything. So all of the people who used to live on that planet are now living on that station. So it is kind of a center for various species. So you have different races, both fantasy and sci-fi. You've got like the Vesk, which are basically lizards. It's basically like if Klingons were lizards. And then you have the Shirin, which are bug people. You've got Lashuta, which are psychic mantis people. So kind of like, you know, mantis. When I say mantis, I mean like mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. So a little antenna, but otherwise largely human, with psychic abilities. But then you also have all the fantasy races: dwarves, elves, goblins, and orcs. Now most of the dwarves don't live on the station. Dwarves, being dwarves, actually live in giant city ships that they travel around mining asteroids and whatnot. So there are some on the station, but most of them live out. You know, the closest thing they can have in space that's kind of like having a mine and living in mountains.
I have to say that goblins were already adorable, and now that they're space goblins, they're just even more adorable.
Yes, space goblins are pretty great. Let's see if I can find...
Hushed whispering.
Hushed whispering. Yeah, pretty much. Actually, I'm just going to hand this to Jason if you want to look through kind of and see what the alien species are like out there. But yeah, so there have been a couple of major wars that are important to know about. One of them was with the Vesk Empire. Now, for context, the Vesk Empire, like I said, it's like if Klingons were lizards. They actually live on another solar system. And so they don't have any way to travel to the solar system where you guys are, which is the Pact Worlds, which I'll explain why in a minute. Nobody could get out of the Pact Worlds either, because obviously space travel across between solar systems is very difficult because of the huge spaces involved. But then one day, one person on every planet in the entire universe suddenly woke up and went, "Eureka! I have it! I have discovered the secrets to interspace travel," or like subspace travel. What are you going to call it? It's basically called anyway, it's like warp, except basically you are actually going to a sub-universe, like an alternate universe where things are compressed and also very weird. And you, it's called, anyway, it's been too long since I've read through all this stuff. But yeah, so you have the ability to travel through this dimension to get places very quickly. In fact, the difficulty in traveling long distances is not so much in distance. The difficulty is in navigating. So if you're trying to go somewhere very far away, it's not so much that it's going to take a long time because it's long distance-wise once you go into this universe. It's just that it's harder to figure out how to get there. But then there are these beacons that are put out in the universe that actually help you to navigate to those places. In fact, Absalom Station is the biggest and most powerful of these beacons, and so you can travel to Absalom Station from anywhere in the universe in the same amount of time, and it's quick. It's like a couple days.
Wow.
So that is another reason why it's become a center, like a trading hub. Is because it's literally the center of the universe. Well, not even the universe. The center of everything. Like, you can always get there. But so then, certain civilizations weren't ready for this information on how to do this kind of travel. There have been discoveries on like cave walls of cavemen who were like, "Ooga booga," and drew the thing out, and then didn't know what to do with it. And then they died, and then nobody made it, and nobody from that planet ever got space travel. Or at least not this kind of space travel. Other people got the idea while they were in the bathtub and were so surprised that they dropped their cell phone and electrocuted themselves and died.
Right.
Stuff like that. But a significant number were able to take advantage of this technology, and so most of the sentient races, except for a few that were left out for reasons nobody knows why, such as the Vesk, because they're evil. Well, we're evil. They've gotten better. But anyway, so now space travel across huge distances has become possible. Like I said, the Vesk actually weren't given this knowledge, but travelers from the Pact Worlds, which were not known as the Pact Worlds at that time, actually went and found the Vesk, and the Vesk had already taken over their entire solar system, conquered all of the other planets, enslaved them, etc.
Basic shit.
Yeah. And so then they got these visitors from out of their universe. They're like, okay, we need to figure out how to get to where they're from so that we can also conquer them.
Yeah.
Like you do.
As you do.
So they befriended these visitors and eventually were able to steal the secrets of this. I'm going to call it warp for now. That's not the right term. Once I find it, I'll let you know. But they took the secrets of this warp technology and went and invaded the Pact Worlds. So that's where they became the Pact Worlds, is all of these planets were like, we're being conquered and we don't have the strength to stand up against them unless we unite. So the undead planet of Eox actually were the ones who brokered the deal for everyone to become the Pact Worlds. So they united and then were able to fight off the Vesk. For a short period of time, of course, they came back and invaded again and again, until eventually a new race, I forget what they're called, but they're basically like the Flood from...
Halo?
Halo, yes, thank you. They're like the Flood from Halo. They're like a weird insect species that's basically like the Borg if they were insects. You know, they come, they take over your planet, they take what things they like from you genetically, and then they go on to the next one and destroy that too. So very, very common setup in sci-fi. You see that in StarCraft, Halo,
Star Trek, you just said.
Star Trek, exactly. So then a few of these insect creatures actually gained a separate intelligence apart from the hive mind. Those are the Shirin, and those are actually your allies now. But because of this invasion from outside the universe, it was enough that that the Pact Worlds and the Vesk Empire actually had to make an alliance and work together to fight them off. So that's how things stand now politically. You guys are in this solar system, and Vesk are friendly now, but still not largely not trusted. They often work as mercenaries and whatnot. Shirin are also often looked down upon, but are generally very helpful. They're very friendly. They've actually got 3 different genders, so they've got a male, a female, and a carrier who actually carries the child. Some interesting stuff like that. And so the beginning of this adventure will be that you guys have been called to Absalom Station by the Starfinder Society, which is a society that is dedicated to acquiring and recording knowledge, and then supposedly sharing it, but obviously not always the best with sharing. And you guys will be working with a guy, a dwarf named Dwarvor Creel, who's bringing you on as fledgling Starfinders. And you don't have a specific mission, you're just kind of newbies at this point. So, beyond that, how you guys got to know each other and what kind of characters you are is largely up in the air. Obviously, having characters who are somewhere on the neutral to good side of the spectrum is going to make this run more smoothly, but if everyone wanted to be evil, that's actually possible. Just, we can't have one evil character in a group of lawful goods. That's not going to end well. So, very, very long way of answering that first question, but thought you guys would want the context.
Yes. I feel more prepared now.
Yeah. And before, last time I actually didn't explain anything to anybody because they basically had woken up from a coma, so they were learning along with their characters. This time, I think that's probably not going to be the case. So, that also covers when the game starts, so... let's move to part 3. So when and how did the characters first meet? So we're going to assume that you guys knew each other before this. We're not going to do the, and they met in a bar and started drinking and then decided to go murder the goblin race because reasons. Because that is a terrible setup for a group.
Lay it down.
So, why don't you guys start discussing kind of what kind of characters you'd be interested in, races, backgrounds. If you have any questions or information that I can give you that would be helpful with that, I can definitely provide it. And Jason, why don't you actually start by reading a little bit about the races to everybody.
Am
am I allowed to be any race, or do I have to be one of the core races?
So I will allow some non-core races, but you have to have a good reason for it. Here are the core races. In the back, there's actually some others. So if you want to play something like fantasy, there's dwarves, elves, all that sort of thing, of course, as well. But these are the core races that are central to the game. And then if you want to just read to everybody a little bit about them, like maybe just this part, that's probably good to just give people ideas of what kind of races are available.
Excellent. Okay. So first, we got the androids. They have additional dexterity and intelligence at a cost to their charisma. Complex technological creations crafted to resemble humans, androids were originally a servitor race, but they have since broken free to form their own society. Unlike ordinary robots or ship AIs, androids do not simply respond according to their programming, rather they have independent consciousnesses and are animated by souls, a distinction crucial to their generally accepted status as people rather than property. Playing an android, you likely are rational, quick-thinking, and a careful planner. Distrust authority, have a natural understanding of machines, and judge people by how they treat animals, robots, and servants.
Obviously, these are just guidelines, so if you want to be an android who actually thinks that all androids should still be slaves, go ahead, Uncle Tom it up.
Uncle Tom it up.
Humans, +2 to any one ability. Ambitious, creative, and endlessly curious, humans have shown more drive to explore their system and the universe beyond than any of their neighbor races, for better and for worse. They've helped usher in a new era of system-wide communication and organization and are admired for their passion and tenacity, but their tendency to shoot first and think about the consequences later can make them a liability for those races otherwise inclined to work with them. Playing a human, you likely see yourself as the hero of your own story, are innovative, flexible, and talented, and pride yourself on your resilience. Get along well with other races and learn from other cultures, and hold passionate beliefs, yet change your mind quickly when it's in your interest. Called out, humans.
We're always the worst race.
So, Kasathas. +2 strength and wisdom, -2 intelligence.
That's terrible.
Originally from a planet orbiting a dying star far beyond the packed worlds, the four-armed Kasathas maintain a reputation as a noble and mysterious people. They are famous for their anachronistic warriors, ancient wisdom, and strange traditions. Does anyone know what anachronistic means?
Anachronistic?
Yeah.
It means out of time. So it means like if someone if Hitler were to walk in right now, that would be very anachronistic.
Got it. So they're like outdated?
So they actually came from a colony ship. Let me know if you want more on that. They came from a colony ship that is standard. It didn't have this warp drive technology. So they spent, hundreds of thousands of years traveling across the universe to arrive in the packed worlds because their world was being destroyed by their sun going supernova. So they're very weird because they've been isolated for this long period of time traveling through space and only recently came into a new civilization.
So it'd be like a nomadic tribe walking into like New York City.
Oh yeah, they're very much like that. So if you want to think about them as being kind of like
Aboriginal in some way?
Yeah, kind of like the Arabian tribes. Like that stereotype is a little bit what these are based off of.
Right.
Is like desert travelers. They always wear veils. They never show their face even when they're eating. Yeah, they're pretty. They've got 4 arms. They've got some cool things.
Okay, so playing a Kasatha, you likely seek wisdom in history and find dignity in customs and tradition. Strive to maintain balance and stability in yourself and comrades. Use ranged weapons when necessary, but find melee weapons inherently more honorable. Keep your mouth behind a scarf in public, carefully tucking food under it and using straws to drink. Alright. Lashuntas. Idealized by many other humanoid races and gifted with innate psychic abilities, Lashuntas are at once consummate scholars and enlightened warriors, naturally divided into 2 specialized subraces with different abilities and societal roles. Playing a Lashunta, you likely deeply value learning, self-improvement, and the practice and perfection of skills. are a natural leader, calm and charismatic if Damaya, loud and boisterous if Korasha, the two subraces. Sometimes find other races' reliance on audible language exasperating. And you are a good judge of character and bond deeply with those worthy of your trust. Shirins. These are the insectoids. Once part of a ravenous hive of locust-like predators, the insectile Shirins only recently broke with their hive mind to become a race of telepaths, physically addicted to their own individualism, yet dedicated to the idea of community and harmony with other races. Interesting dichotomy.
I gotta jump out for a minute. You guys go ahead. I've done session 0 before, so I'm good.
Okay.
Cool. Playing a Shirin. You likely cherish your independence, and while eager to help the group, you despise coercion and entrapment. You abhor violence and act as a voice of reason, compassion, and community even when tempers flare. You take deep emotional and physical pleasure in simple, mundane choices that establish your individuality. You are fascinated by religion and see your choice of God as a reflection of your personality. The best.
And it's to the point where they can become addicted by it. So some Shirin actually sit there being like, pink or blue, pink or blue. Pink, I'm an individual, I feel good. Pink or blue, pink or blue. And so it's like a drug to them. So they actually have to be careful with that.
So the Vesk. Heavily muscled, covered with thick scales and short, sharp horns, the reptilian Vesk are exactly as predatory and warlike as they appear. Originally hailing from a star system near the Pact Worlds, they sought to conquer and subdue their stellar neighbors, as they had all the other intelligent races in their own, as they had done to all the other intelligent races in their own system, until an overwhelming threat forced them into a grudging alliance with the Pact Worlds. For now. Playing a Vesk. You likely see most other races as weak and dishonorable and believe the Vesk way is best. You relish the chance to prove your worth in combat, though only against worthy opponents. Have an ironclad sense of honor and propriety and strive to always keep your word. You bond closely with proven comrades and surprise non-Vesk friends with sudden outpourings of emotion in private. Interesting. And I don't know how to pronounce this. Isoki?
Yeah, it's Isoki.
Isoki.
So it's like a light E. It's just Isoki. Yeah.
Small and furtive, the Isoki are often overlooked by larger races, yet through wit and technological prowess, they've spread throughout the solar system, giving truth to the old adage that every starship needs a few rats. You likely talk fast and often. You see language as a constantly evolving art form, and you constantly pick up new slang and alien words. You have seemingly boundless energy and enthusiasm. Adore technology in all its forms and love taking devices apart to see how they work. Are savvy,
putting them back together.
are savvy and street smart no matter where you are and make both friends and enemies quickly. Those are all the core races.
Yeah. So there are a few others. There's also the fantasy races. If you can make a case for it, I'll let you do pretty much whatever you want, including if you want to just make up some nonsense. But the core races are going to fit the best with the game. So it's a more straightforward choice.
Okay.
But it's entirely up to you guys.
I don't know. I really like dwarves.
He does. He feels like a dwarf.
Yeah, dwarves are definitely an option. So
That was always my first choice, the first several sessions of Pathfinder.
let's see. That's huge.
It kind of got to be a stereotype. I had to do something else. Just that people wouldn't be like, Wayne's a dwarf.
Again.
Okay, yeah, but I also saw that there's an alien race of humanoid dragons. But I don't know if I can do that.
I'll have to look.
Okay, so dwarves don't have the same kind of description. They've got cool stuff going on. They can see in the dark. They're slow but steady. So they're
wins the
slow,
race.
but they're not encumbered by wearing heavy armor.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a bonus against Bull Rush.
Yeah, Bull Rush is basically a maneuver you can do to try and reposition someone else. So you just like shoulder rush them and just like slam into them, and then your goal is to push them, which can be really effective if, like, let's say there's a spike pit behind them.
Right. Cool.
But yeah, so they don't give it a huge description because they're like, you know what dwarves are.
You know.
And they have bonus attack rolls against goblinoids or orc subtypes.
Yeah, dwarves still hate goblins and orcs.
And a +4 bonus to giants. Oh, to AC against an attack from giants. So defensive.
So those are options as well. And if you did want to play something from the Alien Archive, that smaller book that I handed you, let me know and we can definitely talk about it.
No, I'm gonna stick to a dwarf, I think. I think that makes sense for me.
So how about you, Wayne? What are you thinking? I know Rebecca just wants to keep her character.
We lost Wayne.
Are you back, Rebecca?
Yes.
Oh, you're back! Yay! Okay, cool. Because once we're done figuring out like the basics of what your characters are, then we do need to talk about how they relate to each other. So we'll need to do that.
Okay.
Is Wayne around?
He literally just walked out the door.
Nice.
What is the idea?
If you wanted to, Molly, we can make you a character, and then you don't necessarily have to play it. But then it's on hand for if you do at some point decide you want to join.
Yeah, because I don't have a computer or anything.
Yep. We can actually make it on my computer, no problem.
With the people listening, I feel like.
That's fine, we can do it later if you want.
Yeah, maybe after the game, I'm doing other stuff. That sounds fun.
Cool.
I'm listening though. I'm enjoying listening.
Awesome, yeah, I'm glad that, because, I mean, it's like a really interesting lore. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I have fun with all of the world building. So, Rebecca, were there any changes you wanted to make to your character? Or did you want it to just be exactly as is? As far as like the mechanics?
I really liked it. Like, I can't think of anything I really wanted to change. I need to be a little more familiar with it, but that's about it.
Okay. Alright, Jason, so you're thinking dwarf?
Yeah.
Cool. So we just need to figure out what Wayne wants to be.
I stole his
He
role.
wanted to be his rat character again.
You wanted to keep wreckage?
Yeah, that's what he was telling me.
Well, that's not whiskey. It's, what was it? I put an apple liqueur and a macadamia nut liqueur. I'm glad
I thought that I would. I was like, oh, I can't believe I like this whiskey. It's just not. Really that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, these sound like they would go well together, and
I
just
like
threw
it.
some random crap in there. So I'm
Very
glad it turned out okay.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's like honey-like.
Yeah, that was the one thing, because some people just don't like sweet drinks. So that definitely was my biggest concern.
Not me, babe. I actually have to stop drinking Mike's Hard Lemonades because they keep giving me a really bad headache.
Oh, no.
That shit.
So why don't we, while we're waiting for Wayne, talk a little bit about the classes. So Jason's actually already got those up. Why don't you read them out?
Okay.
There's a couple of new classes. I'll figure out what they are and I'll read them to you. But they're not in the book.
Okay. Envoy uses her personal magnetism and intelligence to help her allies and baffle her enemies, often in the service of negotiation or politics. The Mechanic is adept at building and modifying machinery, has either an advanced artificial intelligence or a cutting-edge robot drone as his constant companion. The The mystic magically channels the energy, connecting all things, often through a focus on the divine or intuitive understanding of biological systems. The operative has the skills to complete almost any mission requiring stealth and discretion, whether it be simple espionage or messy wet work. The Solarian contemplates and gains power from the life cycles of stars. His techniques allow him to create a weapon or suit of armor from a mote of stellar energy. Soldier. Thoroughly familiar with weapons of war, the soldier is ready to wreak havoc when force is called for and specializes in a particular fighting style. And then the Technomancer understands the connection between technology and magic and exploits them by bending reality to suit her needs.
All right, and then the new ones are Biohacker. The pursuit of scientific knowledge and expertise is like a pebble shrinking into an infinite ocean. Each new depth brings a new outlook, new understanding, and new wisdom about the interlocking nature of the wide universe and all matter in it. You are fascinated with science and all its many facets. You understand that the fundamentals of biology, chemistry, physics, and myriad other disciplines can help you bolster your allies and exploit your enemies' weaknesses, and that they can reveal new insights and epiphanies over time. You might be studious and methodical about your field research, pursuing your mind and scientific discoveries to ever-growing heights. Oh, pushing, not pursuing. Or you might be more unorthodox or reckless, improvising unstable concoctions while hitting upon otherwise unknowable brilliance and effectiveness. Either way, you offer skilled support to your allies in the thick of battle, and you are incredibly erudite about several fields of scientific study and their relations to biological life. There's the Vanguard. You are a nigh unstoppable force of nature, a juggernaut brimming with fundamental energies that allow you to hold the front line in any conflict. Those are so good. Those are really good.
I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, the entropy within the universe, the level of chaos within any system is at your disposal, and you channel it into potent combat abilities and steely resolve. In your hands, the cosmic forces that control how suns form and galaxies die allow you to bolster yourself and your allies against damaging effects, manipulate basic aspects of nature, and turn the tide of battle, and infuse your very fist with the destructive power of the cosmos. And Witchwarper. Most believe that reality is limited to one's physical surroundings, and megacities, metal spires, and neon-lighted screens, or in alien worlds, steaming jungles, and acidic oceans, but you are far wiser. You know that everything around you is merely a single veil draped upon existence's infinite tapestry. Your reality is a palimpsest of all possible worlds, and all alternate existences are all at your disposal. You can peer into these realities and use your magic and force of personality to pull them as you see fit, affecting the world around you to benefit you and your allies. You can manipulate the earth below and the sky above, impose impossible to foresee adversity upon your enemies, and generally bend nature of reality to conform to your wishes and desires. That might be a good class for your character, actually, Rebecca.
Yeah, it does sound pretty close to what we were going for. I just don't remember them being there when we created characters.
They were.
They
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Is the ones I just read are new classes.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
getting at, but in a weird way.
Yeah, but yeah, so if we wanted to change your class, I think that actually would be a good fit for you. But that's up to you. You can keep what you were before as well. What were you before anyway?
I think we could probably go ahead and switch it. Like, it really does sound like what we were going for.
Yeah, because right now we just have you as a soldier, so your abilities were pretty, standard. But what we were kind of going for was a little bit more like a druid, so I think that's a good
Yeah,
fit.
let's go ahead and switch it, or at least try to switch it and see how well it works.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, once we get to character creation, we can definitely go a little bit more over the abilities and make sure you still like it. So then the other thing to keep in mind for character creation is going to be your theme. So there's a few. There's an ace pilot. So that's your Han Solo type. There's a biotechnician. That's someone who is very heavily into biomodding.
Wait, what are these?
Themes. So what you have is a class, and your class says these are your abilities, and then a theme gives you certain bonuses and whatnot, but then also kind of helps you tie into what kind of a character you are.
Cool.
So like as an ace pilot, let's see. So you have theme knowledge, where you are obsessed with starships and vehicles and have committed into memory almost every related tidbit of knowledge you've ever come across. Reduce the DC of culture checks to recall knowledge about starships. Visit vehicle models and parts as well as famous hotshot pilots by 5. Piloting is a class skill for you, though if it is a skill, and I'll help with building. So kind of ignore how complex this gets. There's a lot of numbers and names, and don't worry about that too much. Yeah, so it's going to give you bonuses to piloting. You get the Lone Wolf skill, which gives you some bonuses. When you're having to work a ship by yourself, you get the Need for Speed, which gives you bonuses to driving a ship really fast without killing yourself. So that's kind of how these themes work.
Gotcha.
They're just going to give you like bonuses based off of, oh, I'm an ace pilot, I'm Han Solo, I'm great, I can fly through the whatever the place in 5 parsecs or whatever nonsense he says. So anyway, ace pilot, biotechnician is going to be someone who's really into biomodding themselves and potentially cutting in their sleep. Bounty hunter, so that's going to be your Jango Fett type. Where the other fat guy is? Boba, yeah, that's the guy. Corporate agent, pretty straightforward. You get to be the guy in the black suit who shows up and says, "Okay, guys, we've got everything here. Clear out. Nothing to see here." You have the cultist. Again, that's pretty straightforward. You're in a cult.
Wait, what was the one before the cultist?
Corporate agent. So you get to be Eric? The guy who played his face. The
Will
elf,
Smith.
The elf guy who then in The Matrix is like Mr. something.
Oh yeah. Mr. Smith
Yes.
is Hugo
Mr.
Weaving
Smith.
in The Matrix.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you get to be kind of like that. You get to be the guy in the suit who shows up and just be like, nothing to see here, move along. But then you're also a badass.
Can we just make an aside that Hugo Weaving might be one of the most talented
Elrond.
actors ever?
Yeah, he's amazing.
Also, Elrond was the
Yeah, he's awesome.
Cyberborn.
He was also V.
Yep.
Oh my
For
god,
Vendetta.
he was! God, nerd god.
He was also Red Skull.
Oh my god, yeah!
Well, he was the original Red Skull. They didn't get him for the Infinity.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't see him without being like, it's Elrond.
Yeah.
So there's Cyberborn. That's someone who was cybernetically augmented at a very young age. Death Touched is someone who actually has been affected by the energies of death. And so you're not like undead, but you're kind of that world. Dragon Blood is someone who actually has magic draconic blood in them. So dragons are able to, take human form and do the whole, Odin thing. And
You betcha.
so, anyway, so that's what Dragon Blood would be, is you actually, one of your ancestors at some point was a literal dragon, so now you have magic in your blood. Cool. Dream Prophet is going to be kind of like a soothsayer. Gladiator, which is pretty straightforward. You fight to entertain people. Probably, at this point, it wouldn't be in an actual, it probably would be in a pit, but it's televised, and everybody sees it on the holonet. And, there's a lot of, because of, it's not exactly like a grimdark future, so this isn't like Warhammer 40k kind of stuff, but there's a lot of messed up stuff, including actual blood sports that are totally legal. So that is a thing. Icon, that's going to be a celebrity. So, you're Britney Spears and you're, Jack Sparrow's. No, not Jack Sparrow. This is actually... I don't know.
Johnny Depp?
Yes. I don't know celebrities. Tom Clancy. Mercenary, again, that one's pretty straightforward. Outlaw, again, pretty straightforward. You could be a priest. You could be a roboticist, so that's someone who's really into building little robots and using them to kill people, probably. Scholar, again, pretty straightforward. Solar Disciple, so those 4-armed aliens with the big heads. those guys actually, they brought Solarianism with them, which is actually a way for people to tap into the cosmic powers and energies around them. And so you can actually, Solarian is one of the classes, and that is one where you're able to, summon a sword made out of solar energy and cut someone in half with it,
Cool.
So Solar Disciple is someone who's just really into that religion. Space Pirate, again, that one's really self-explanatory. Spacefarer, just an explorer, but in space. Tempered Pilgrim, so that's another Kasatha thing. I'm not familiar with this one. In their adolescence, Kasathas undertake a year-long walkabout known as the Tempering, in which they are encouraged to experience other cultures. You have examined this practice, or perhaps undergone it yourself, and have concluded that a year is not enough time to learn from the countless other civilizations. Yeah. So you're actually traveling around getting learning knowledge from different civilizations.
And Rumspringa! Extended Rumspringa!
So there's themeless, which just basically means none of these themes actually fit for me. And so you can be themeless and just say, I'm something that's different, so I'll take themeless, and then I'll have my own separate theme that I have in my mind.
Okay.
Wild Warden, which is someone, it's mild eco-terrorist, basically.
Did someone mention Rumspringa?
Yes.
Yes! We're there.
I thought I heard that word. Okay, cool.
Xenoarchaeologist, so that's someone, it's an archaeologist, but if you go to alien worlds and do it. And Xenoseeker, which is an explorer, but specifically your goal is to find other alien races and get to know them. So those are the themes, just to keep those in mind. So Wayne, now that you are back, what were you thinking for your character in terms of race, class?
I'm literally just planning to keep Wreckage.
Cool. Not a problem.
I'll try to play him a little bit better, but yeah, I've really liked him. I don't know if he's going to be 100% the same, but mostly the same.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we're going over kind of how everyone fits together. Jason, you dwarf, and now that you know kind of the themes and the classes, what sounded good? So why don't we start with theme?
Okay.
Unless you were not going to start with theme. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. I want to be an operative.
Okay.
And I was thinking about Death Touched and the one before that, which I forget.
I don't know either. Let's see. Death Touched or Cyberborn. So meaning that you were augmented, cybernetically augmented at a very young age.
Yes.
Okay, that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds dope.
Yeah. So then that kind of covers what everyone is. So Wreckage is an Istoki, so he's a rat person. Let me look up you can actually see him. But yeah, so he's an Istoki.
So he's a rat person.
Well, that's what they used to be called rat folk in Pathfinder. But then
now
in
it's
Starfinder, it turns out that they're actually from another planet originally. So some of them had actually made it to Glorian and had taken off there and were called rat folk, but they're actually from another planet, kind of like a desert Mad Max style planet.
Mm. Calling them rat folk really does seem like a slur then.
So Wreckage.
I'm proud of my rat folk heritage.
Wreckage is also cyberborn.
Only you can say it, but I can't say it.
That's like I was listening to a podcast called Behind the Bastards, and it's this guy he'll research different horrible people from history. So Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, Donald Trump. I'm just kidding. And he'll just talk about things that you probably didn't know about them. So Hitler had actually a condition where he had horrible flatulence all the time.
Damn.
And he was obsessed with a young adult novel series, which is essentially the German equivalent of Harry Potter. And he actually based a lot of his strategy for World War II on those books, and in fact sent copies of them out to his officers, and just stuff like that. It's really interesting.
Adolf Hitler was a Fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and he'll have these rotating guests that he'll bring on while he's talking about this. It's not just him in a room talking to
Right.
But he'll bring on some of his African American or black, whatever the proper term is these days, friends, and they are really racist. They are incredibly racist. I'm like, okay, you know, I get it, but you don't have to take every opportunity to be like, yeah, white people be tripping because somebody said that. I'm like, okay, if I said that about any other race, I would be in such big trouble. Just can we all be nice? Like
Right.
everybody.
Let's
Except
just
for
be
the white
nice.
people
Let's just
do be
all be
tripping.
nice.
Right.
Hey, but let's not. I mean, let's
No,
not
it's right.
necessarily
Everyone
say
speaks
it.
nice words. That's true.
Anyway, complete side point. Back to the matter at hand. So, Wreckage is Wayne's character. He's an Ahsoki mechanic, also a cyberborg.
Oh, can I change mine then? That's
What, you don't want to be like practically brother?
I guess that would be kind of funny if we were both cybernetically enhanced, like small species. We would totally bond. That could be how we met.
Or the rivalry, like when I meet somebody else named Molly.
My eyes are better than your eyes. I
Right.
got them from so they can see it 5K.
Right, like, oh, you got the Optic 5000? I've got the 7.
Exactly.
Do I get to choose how I was cybernetically enhanced?
Yep. Once we get to character creation, we'll go over all of the enhancements that you got. And then there will be plenty of opportunity to graft all kinds of nonsense into your body throughout the game. You can get stuff. You can get rebreathers. You can get both mechanical and genetic modifications. So if you want to be able to
We should do it
shoot,
to
like,
where-
poison stingers out
We
of
should
your
do it
wrist,
to where it's basically
That's
like
good.
there's the iPhone version and the Android version, and we're always like we're both on different camps.
that would be so good. Yes, I vote yes to that. One
That's
of you,
hilarious.
So one of you is like the Dwarven technology, one of you is the Ahsoki technology. So the Dwarven technology is very straightforward, very logical, it's very functional, it doesn't go weird. The Ahsoki technology is very experimental and edgy, but it's prone to doing some weird things like making you punch yourself in the face every once in a while. Your just cybernetic arm is just playing while you're hitting yourself. But yeah, no, I like that idea.
Upload. Why are you hitting yourself? .exe.
I would love that if you started biohacking each other. That would be.
It would be
so
really
hilarious.
funny if he was cyberborn and I was a biohacker and I just messed with him all the time.
Yeah, you should. That's not a bad idea. That would work too. And then as a biohacker, you weren't necessarily modified young, but you're really into it, and you modify yourself and others. So I think that would work.
That would work too.
And then Kima, she's going to change her race. So that's Rebecca's character, Kima. She's a Lashunta, which are the the mantis people. And
So hard. I thought it was going to be soft. Sorry.
yeah, no, they're hard candy. they're pretty good. So if you
You know the face I make when I get into it and I made this face.
she's not expecting that. It's really good if you heat up some apple juice and throw candies like that in there. Super good.
Believable.
But yeah, so Rebecca's character is Kima. So she's a Lashunta, which are the Mantis people. She was a soldier, but we're going to change that so that she's more like a space witch. And her theme was a wild warden, and she was definitely leaning into the whole eco-terrorist side of things.
I'm sorry, did you say Space Witch?
Yes.
That's tight as fuck.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing.
That is pretty cool.
Sounds great.
Rebecca, though, if you end up becoming a lich, murdering your entire crew, and then becoming another god, I'm just saying, there's a point where a pattern is too much.
I'm just, don't worry about it.
Get another playbook.
But yeah, her most infamous character was a witch pirate captain, and she did murder her entire crew, become a lich, and then become a god. So she's actually one of the main gods in the setting now.
It's funny.
So yeah, so an eco-terrorist. So we're gonna have to figure out a little bit how you guys all fit together. So now that we know your characters, we have a Lashunta eco-terrorist, Space Witch. We've got a Dwarven biohacker operative. So operatives are going to be kind of they're like rogues. They're like the rogues from.
That's
normal.
me.
Yeah. So
That's why I picked it.
high decks. They're going to do a lot of like sniping and backstabbing and stealthy stuff.
And biohacking.
Yes, and biohacking.
Stealthy biohacking.
That's right.
I'm a menace.
Just going to be like, why is there a fish on the back of your head? There's a fish on the back of my head? Yes, turn around. It's just got like a giant tail thing coming out the back of his head now. And you're like, but when did I do it?
Yes.
Um,
Dude, I'm getting ideas.
yeah.
He's ready.
Yeah, that's the best part about Session 0. So then we've got the Lashunta Space Witch, whatever thing, brain work. The eco-terrorist. We've got a Dwarven operative biohacker, and we've got a Misoki mechanic bio. Is that it? Whatever. And then Wayne's character is also actually an ace pilot. So, let's talk. Oh, Jason found something good.
Who's an ace pilot?
Oh, Wayne's character.
Cool.
I'm a pilot.
You made that joke so many times last game. I'm just saying.
I just saw that I have an exploit called Uncanny Mobility, which disables attacks of opportunity. That's like my least favorite thing. Is attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, now I think that's at a certain level. You're not going to start out with it, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so let's talk about how your characters know each other, how you met, and why you didn't murder each other and then hide on opposite sides of the universe.
Okay.
So we've got some pretty strong kind of like themes, especially the eco-terrorist. So I think that's definitely something we're going to need to make sure fits into the group, or change it, because that's
We are the guardians of the galaxy.
Gotta save it.
So when you say eco-terrorist, what do you mean by that?
Someone who would blow up a logging camp because they're killing trees.
Or a pipeline. The oil pipeline.
Well, that too, but I mean specifically willing to kill people.
Oh, yeah,
Not
yeah,
just
yeah.
destroy property, but I mean like they will kill 100 people to save the trees in the forest.
Cool.
Unless you want to walk that back from last game, Rebecca.
So
But let's just say in the last
I
game,
mean-
she was executed for being an
with being
eco-terrorist.
poison ivy.
Yes,
Yeah.
poison ivy.
So I'm imagining
Only if you wear the costume.
you do have a costume. I'm imagining a movie where she's on a mission. She needs to save some planet that's in eco-disaster. And Wayne, being the ace pilot, was already on a mission over there. And so she's like, I need to hitch a ride. And I'm playing troublemaker. I start to do some weird business because I'm like messing with the cyber dude just because I can, because I'm like that.
So dwarves live a very long time. I wonder if he's cyberborn specifically because you found him abandoned or whatever, and brought him in. And being a biohacker, you were immediately like, "Hey, you know this child is definitely dying of consumption. Let me just hack in a new set of lungs there."
Yeah. I could be his origin story.
Father!
But Isoki live a fairly short lifespan, and dwarves have a very long lifespan.
So he's
that
like my
actually
pet.
makes sense. No, that is racist. Or specious. I think that would be specious. But no, I get the feeling your character probably does actually feel that way.
That's funny.
He's your pet son.
Dwarves tend to be a little bit racist.
Oh yeah, dwarves are definitely.
We're conservative.
Yeah. Very leftist.
So the question is, how do I feel about the way you treat me? Because I'm guessing that it's probably not.
How does anyone feel about their father? I mean, it's complicated.
And if we want to wait until we actually play the game to get a feel for that, we don't have to decide how you treat each other beforehand.
Okay.
It's enough to have an idea.
When I
of
try
what's
to
happened.
when I try to describe Starfinder to my coworkers, I described it as like if you took a combination of Guardians of the Galaxy and threw it in with Star Trek, because there's even actually like basically like just space that. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like there's
No,
also
but like the Federation, the idea of like this.
Yeah, there's the
planets working
Federation.
together.
There's like the whole thing.
and there's some Firefly in there too. I
Yeah.
feel like.
That's what I was feeling.
The idea
Yeah.
that there's like a web of civilization that stretches out across the universe. I feel like that's makes sense to me.
But yeah, so continue with your story. You were.
Oh,
getting up to
so
some
if I'm
nonsense.
not Wayne's father / owner.
What? I think you are.
My father
I think
figure,
like-
maybe, you know?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
Especially
yeah.
if you're still continuing to biohack him.
I'm the father. I distrust the Space Witch, so I stealthily, using my rogue abilities, sneak onto their mission that she's hopped onto, and then I reveal myself sometime down the line.
Wow, you're just revealing yourself? That's not good. You're racist
Wow.
and you're a streaker.
Yeah.
You're just like, hey, Space Witch, get a load of these.
So put your clothes back.
That is so funny.
So yeah, I'm like a stowaway on their eco mission.
Okay.
Thomas used to have a character that would just randomly put his clothes back on.
on your mission. How do you feel about this?
So what if instead, what if you guys actually are some level of like mercenaries or
Cool.
space pirates or something along those lines, where you're actually not necessarily like trying to mess up her mission, but we're recruited, and then potentially Rebecca's
should be like
character actually
smugglers.
talked you over to
I
her
like
side.
space pirates.
Yeah. So that's the next step. That's just how I met them.
Ah,
But she gained my trust. I still don't trust witches because I'm conservative. I'm a dwarf. I trust stone.
that's right, bros before witches.
But she's earned my respect.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we're a trio.
Okay.
The trio
Did
of
Jason just announce that he's the captain?
No!
who said that?
Well, I had to earn your trust, and you know.
I'm the father.
Wayne's character, and I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like you're the leader here.
Well, he was the stowaway, so I mean, he can't be.
Right,
the
I'm not
official
the
leader.
captain. Wayne's
He's
the
just-
pilot.
Just
But that's
the
not the
elder.
captain.
But that's not the captain.
So think of Star Trek. So the way that
I
it
think the
works
Space
when you're
Witch is
flying your
planning to
ship
be the
is
captain.
it's like Star Trek. So you've got a pilot,
I actually
was
you've got a science officer, you've got a mechanic, and then the captain is a separate person who sits in a chair and tells everybody else what they need to do.
I was going Han Solo style, like smaller ship. Pilot has
Even-
more power.
Even the smaller ships, it's generally more Star Trek style.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. Okay, I don't know that I'm married to this whole backstory, but I like it.
Okay. I feel like one thing that needs to be brought in there is a reason that your character and Wreckage would already be inclined to go to the eco-terrorist side. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's a reason, like when you found Wreckage.
Fracking. I hate fracking.
Well, in this case, it could be more like orbital laser drilling.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe the reason that you found wreckage abandoned as a child is actually that some corporation, which shall remain unnamed until the game starts and you find out exactly who they are. No, not Disney.
Disney.
I should change their name to Disney. That's actually great.
But like spell it like an alien, spell it funny.
Yeah, D-Y-S-N-E-Y.
Yeah.
We'll just take the E out. D-Y-S-N-Y. Disney.
Disney.
I actually like this idea. I'm going to do it. But anyway, so the
It ruined my childhood.
the evil Disney Corporation, in addition to their giant media empire, also has interests in many other areas, including drilling, orbital laser drilling. And they actually went to a planet which was uninhabited, meaning that they sent their people to look at it, and we're like, oh yeah, totally, nobody's there. And then just like shot a laser from space, destroying his village, and he's the only one who survived.
Yeah.
And you were, I mean, we need a reason why you were there, but then, you found him and took him as your son, and then since then, you're like, these people are assholes.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of your eco-terrorism actually has been against that specific corporation and others. And that's, you actually run in similar circles with Kima, and that's the reason you got to know each other and we're working together on this job. But it went badly, everything fell apart, and now the heat's on you when you guys have had to lay low for a while, and you think that things have calmed down enough that you're ready to go out there, and you saw this opportunity to join the Starfinders, which obviously is a very legitimate looking excuse to go out to all these different planets and just do stuff, because that's what the Starfinders do. And so you actually, or potentially there could be an eco-terrorists like a group within the Starfinders that aren't like officially supported, and then you guys are actually going there to join up with them.
We can be the rebels. I'm okay with being the rebels. Just
So far, I like this.
So
I was away for a little bit, so there is one thing that I'm still not clear on. What is Molly's character?
Oh, I'm not playing.
Yeah, Molly is not playing. We're gonna maybe make a character at some point so that she has one if she wants to join up. But as of yet, she is not like actually joining the game.
I'm chilling. I'm on my Switch.
Yep.
Act like I'm not here.
Does that make sense, Wayne?
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
We're just too nerdy for her.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, I'm just here to make fun of you guys.
She's like, you rolled a d20, nerd.
What these?
I don't roll a d20 to kill aliens. I go out and I actually kick people's asses. Okay,
Right,
guys?
exactly. I'm out here rolling d20s in life. I'm not.
But yeah, so I think if we like that backstory, the only thing we still need is why your character would have been there. They probably weren't like initially an eco-terrorist. Potentially, you were out exploring.
I think I'm just a remote surveyor because I'm kind of like a loner, so I don't like to stick around with all the other dwarves. So I take the most remote surveying trips,
Okay.
and that's where I ran into all the rubble from, like, there was a bunch of rubble adrift from all, like, the extensive drilling, and it caught my attention, and that's how I found them.
Okay. Would you want to maybe, instead of being a biohacker, would you want to be a xenoarchaeologist? Just a thought, and then that gives you a reason to already be out in the universe exploring places. And also gives you an in with the Starfinders. Because as a xenoarchaeologist, you're, out there checking out, ancient alien civilizations for technology, culture, information. One of your obsessions would likely be the gap and what actually happened during the gap, because that actually would answer a lot of questions if anyone knew what happened during the gap.
Being raised by a character like that, it would explain why, even though I tried to play my character kind of roguish before, he ended up using big words and stuff. I could just be the son of a nerd who wants to be a...
There you go. And then you can kind of be like a little bit more like an Indiana Jones-ish type character. You know, you're the adventure archaeologist. You're not the I'm going to spend, 30 years painstakingly brushing the dirt off of this one thing I found. You're the kind who's like, I'm out finding these
I gotta find new
big
stuff.
civilizations, ancient...
It belongs in a museum!
Yeah.
I'm in. I'll do it.
Okay. Cool. And then that gives you an obvious reason. You were out exploring, and you were on a different part of the planet, exploring some sort of ancient alien civilization. And then all of a sudden you were like, what the heck? Giant earthquakes, tsunamis, weather is completely effed up, the planet is out of alignment, what the heck? Went and found out, there's an orbital laser, and this one
Yikes.
baby is just barely alive, and then you can still do a lot of the biohacking. So, like, he probably was significantly injured, possibly even, like, half his body's cut off type thing. And so you saved his life, and that's why he's Cyberborn, is because, he's got a robot arm and leg because he was almost killed.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm looking, there is an explorer specialization for operatives, which would make a lot of sense.
Nice. How does that sound, Wayne and Rebecca?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So then, Jason's character and Wayne's character would have been living together for a while. They already had very strong anti-corporate / protective of nature kind of ideals, and ran in some of the same circles. And then, would you guys have run a few jobs before the one that went wrong, or would that have been your first time together?
I feel like if that was like our first job together, we would have never spoken to each other again. So I'm thinking that in the eco-terrorist group, we had to have done a number of jobs together to like earn each other's trust enough to actually stay together.
That makes sense. Yeah. So you guys have worked together. You realized you were a great team, and then you had this one last job. Well, it wasn't going to be your last job, but you were on a job, some sort of big profile thing. Do we want to talk about what that would be?
What job are we talking about?
The last job that you did before this game. So what would have happened is before the game started, by either a few months or a few years, depending on how long you guys think you would need to lay low, you went on a job to do something. Blow up a pipeline, destroy an orbital laser cannon, whatever thing. And we could talk about what that would be. But it went wrong. Everything went sideways.
That's why we went our laying low.
Everything went sideways, the police showed up, they knew you were coming, whatever. And so then you were laying low, and it's been either a few months or a few years, and you guys think it's time that you can come back out, and that's why you're meeting up with the Starfinders, is they have an eco-terrorist group within the Starfinders that you know of because of your connections, and they were like, hey, you should become a Starfinder, and then we can work together on our shared goals, and you're like, yeah, totally, and then that's why you're heading to Absolute Station to become Starfinders.
Cool. I'm in. So we need to define what the bad mission was then?
If you want to, or you can leave it vague. I mean, it can be one of those things that we
don't talk about.
Well, no, even better. It's something where we slowly define it over the course of the game with just people mentioning it, being like, hey, this is exactly like Aquila 7 when you did that thing. And we're all going to die just like last time. We almost died. Why are you doing that?
In what way is this like Budapest?
Hashtag never forget Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we can either define it beforehand, or we can let that be something that comes out over the course of the game.
I like that option. That sounds way more fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. So that covers how you know each other and what major events you have shared in your past. On a personal level, what keeps the characters together?
Obviously terrorism.
The joy of terrorism.
Isn't it great that we're putting this out on YouTube so that the NSA can scan our audio?
Obviously terrorism.
We're just gonna have, SWAT teams jumping through our windows mid-sentence.
Exactly. They're gonna be like, you said Donald Trump and terrorism in the same sentence.
Right, get out of here. Get out of America.
Is that really it? Is that all you share? I feel like there's gotta be more than that. So this is on a personal level. Like, we know that you have shared goals, but on a personal level, what makes you actually the kind of people who can get along, work together, and not want to kill each other? Now, obviously, some inter-party tension is actually good. We don't want you to all be like, we're the best of buddies, we only do the most effective situation. It's just, that's boring and fake if everybody are just like these Mary Sues who always do the most tactically efficient option. But we do need to know why, despite all of the things, everybody has some sort of rough edges or sticking points, all of the things that are there, why you would actually work together for a significant period of time and stay together afterward.
Because they make it a lot easier for me to get my work done.
So you're saying your character is a sociopath.
Safety, but then I make really, really awesome brownies.
These are definitely not space weed brownies. Everybody gets along so well after they've had a couple of your brownies.
They're
just
chill out brownies.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes when people do us a good favor, we just give them something audible.
Okay, well, we're definitely keeping brownies as a character point for your chemo. Just saying. But is that really the only reason you work with them? Is it purely just like they're effective? I'm a sociopath and I don't care.
I mean, I'm sure we've developed a friendship. That's why I was saying, I feel like we did, a lot of jobs together.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why, there was that trust built up. And we've become, friends.
Okay.
We're just we just work well together, and we're like a dysfunctional family in a way, My dad, the dwarf, and my mom, the space.
That is to be a book now. My dad, the dwarf, and my mom, the space witch.
Yup.
Growing up as a cyberborn Ahsoki. My early life was in cyberborn Ahsoki. That needs to be a book.
That's a good one.
Okay, what about Wreckage?
What about Wreckage?
On a personal level, what keeps the characters together?
Right now, a lot of nuts and bolts are keeping me together.
But it's not what
But,
keeps your father.
but no, I know, interpersonally and everything. Well, the dwarf is my dad, so I'm kind of stuck here.
Is that how you feel about
I
it?
think
Is that how your character feels?
in a way. In a way, I think I'm kind of thinking maybe playing it off as kind of like a moody teenager in a bit of a way.
Right.
I think that makes
So you're
sense.
teenage Groot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense because I'm envisioning my character as kind of surly and keeps to himself a lot.
A stodgy old man.
Yeah.
Get off my space lawn!
Not quite
Probably
that
got,
surly.
a bunch of rules.
More like a
Who needs
brooding,
rules?
kind of quiet, kind of cynicism.
Okay, are you a big rule maker?
No, I mostly just quietly judge situations and people and...
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, I think Jason's got the dad thing down.
Yeah.
He's ready.
Are you speaking from personal experience, Tom?
No, actually not.
No, Jason's dad is great.
So, okay. And
No, I was saying Thomas. 'Cause
Oh.
you kind of described his dad a little.
not really.
I'm just kidding.
He's like, oh, don't let me said that.
No, he was quick to jump on the "you've got the dad" thing.
Right, he was ready.
Okay, cool. And then, aside from obviously you think of Wreckage as your son, what kind of keeps you in the group, Jason?
Yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. I'm kind of in this situation, so I stick it through.
And he secretly loves his son, but he's too
He
proud
said
to
other
admit
than
it.
that. He said other than
okay.
that. That was a given.
Okay.
You probably are the kind of person who just like never says it. You feel like it's always implied, but you never say it.
Yeah. Big dad move.
So you're not really so much Indiana Jones as you are Indiana Jones's dad.
Yeah. Can you do a Sean Connery? Because that's
can't.
a great. That's
I'm not
a
even gonna
great
try.
dwarf voice.
Sure.
Can't even begin to try doing a Sean Connery. That'll go poorly.
Okay, cool. So that is good. What goals are shared by the characters? Eco-terrorism.
Also, the demise of Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disney must die.
Evil Disney.
So Indiana Jones's dad and young angsty teenage Indiana Jones are going to go up against Disney,
Yeah.
the people who bought Lucasfilm.
And Teenage Groot. Freaking.
And the space witch. That's the real fun part. Is the space witch. Space witches make everything better.
Yeah.
Mantis the Space Witch.
Yep. Cool. Is there enough moral agreement among the characters to keep them from whoring each other? I think we can say yes to that. Is there any potential conflict between character, personalities, goals, or ethics that would become so great the plot will fizzle out or the players will be excluded? Actually, I have included that in earlier steps. So again, that's a yes. What plot elements are in the group's history that the game master can use in their plot? And I think, again, terrorism. Pretty straightforward. Even though if we want to, one thing that would be helpful is if you guys wanted to just write up something short that has 2 or 3 plot hooks. So plot hooks would be basically like things you want to see happen or just elements you want to be involved. So for example, my long lost lover is named Gertrude and she's a Vesk and we parted on bad terms, ... That would be a plot hook. Or, when I was younger, I used to run with a bad crew and some people still know about that, ... Stuff like that. So do we want to talk about some of those now, or is that something you guys want to get to me later?
We can do that now.
Okay. Actually, take notes then.
Season.
That's where's my section? Okay, cool. Who wants to go first?
I think that I want to think about mine and send those to you like in the next couple of days so that I actually come up with something good instead of just like lame.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair. We'll do it later then.
Okay. Unless you want, if you want to do yours now.
No, I thought I could think of them and now I can't think of them.
Okay, cool. So then, yeah, just at some point, send me 2 or 3, just like sentence or 2 plot hooks, just like something that would be interesting to you that can be pulled into the plot. Let's see what else. I think that's the majority. So let's do kind of the basic overview. So the basic overview of the Dead Sons. I'm not going to go into actual story points, but the basic overview is that you guys were being brought in as new Starfinders. There's some mysterious goings on. Specifically, there's a ship that's come out of. I can remember what it was called. It's not the word. I'm gonna look this up because this is driving me crazy. that's not what I wanted. There we go. That's better. Oh, not Pathfinder Starfinder. Come on. Pathfinder. Oh, we actually we also have a fake swear sheet. So instead of doing actual swear words, we just have a bunch of fake in-universe ones that we'll use. So animal feces would be Shazbot. An ass would be Gask. An asshole would be Gasket. Balls are Globlobs or Boing Boings. Bitch would be Chiro. Dan would be Grozit. Dick would be Bading Ding, or just Ding for short. The F word is Pronk. Goddamn is Gorum. Hell is Hermod.
Gorham, is that from Firefly?
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Yes.
Urine would be Spritz with a Z. A vagina would be Dash. Another word, so this one is like not animal shit, but just shit would be frack. Son of a bitch
I
is.
hate Frank.
Should we do the adult words off of the recording that we're putting on YouTube?
No, it's fine. I'll just mark it explicit.
There you go.
Except the other ones won't need to be marked explicit because we're using these. People still end up swearing, but just in general, try to use fake words for
Okay.
it. And we have a sheet for this. I can share it out. And then people can add to it as well. Son of a bitch is Patak. And the worst profanity in the galaxy is Belgium.
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 As in the nation.
Yes. Which
I love that.
Wayne has
That's
informed me
that's
is
a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference.
Okay. Belgium.
So don't ever say that. Anyway, that aside.
Man, it must have been too long since I've seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It was in the books.
Ah, book
I don't know if
reference.
it ever made it into the film or.
It's a great movie. I should read the book. If I read books.
There are 5 books, and it's actually kind of hard to find all of them except for the first 2.
Wait, there's 5 of them?
Yes, and the film is only based on the first book, and it didn't really get it right.
Well, the film isn't
I mean,
actually
close-
based off
pretty
of any
close,
of the
but-
books because it was originally a radio play.
Yeah.
And that's what both the books and the films are based off of, are the radio play.
That totally makes sense.
Yep. So anyway, Drift. That's what it's called. The Drift is what I've been calling the warp this entire time because I couldn't remember it.
Drift.
Yes. So it's called Drift Space. Every time that you travel into the Drift Space, you actually somewhere else in the universe, a chunk of our reality is pulled into the Drift. So the Drift is actually mostly empty except for these floating chunks of random nonsense, and it could be anything from any of the planes. You could be flying your ship along, and suddenly a chunk of literally hell comes floating by, and demons attack you out of nowhere. And yeah, it's a crazy place.
Truly adrift.
Yes. But yeah, so you have a drift drive, which is what allows, or a drift core, which is what allows you to go into drift space and do this, huge long distance travel. Anyway, why was I looking that up? Hooks, we were done with that. All right. So what's going on in the station when you guys arrive is that a ghost ship actually has emerged from the drift recently with a asteroid behind it. But then there's nobody in there. Nobody's sure what's going on. So it's been actually put into a quarantine orbit where it's away from everything else. Until that can get resolved, there's some other stuff going on that you'll need to take care of. And then the general drift of the, or the general plot is that like you find out stuff about an alien super weapon, and then just things happen, and I can't tell you much more without spoilers.
Cool.
But yeah.
Ghost ship, asteroid, mystery.
So those are the general kind of broad strokes of the plot. So are there any themes, situations, just anything you want to see specifically in the game? And we'll also, the next section will be things you don't want to see in the game, so we'll get to that as well. So are there any things you guys want to see in the game specifically?
I mean, I don't really have anything because you're really creative and you always surprise us with really awesome stuff, so.
I'm gonna echo that sentiment. I feel like you could do a better job coming up with it than we could. And it'd be better if it's a surprise.
But
Teacher's pet.
so I mean, but in general terms, is there anything that you wanted to see? Like, I wanted to see some romantic subplots, or I want to see interactions with corporate greed because that's a major thing you guys don't
I
like.
want to watch Wreckage get slapped multiple times by women he is flirting with.
I feel like that's just gonna happen though.
Wow, you guys have such confidence in me. So on that topic, is there a planet that's basically where we would find Orion Slave Girl?
Oh, did we establish our alignments?
Not yet. That'll be when we do character creation for reals. So yeah, I mean, kind of. So the Lashunta would probably be the equivalent of that because, like it says, they're idealized by the other races in the Pact Worlds.
I just had to say that after the slapping thing. That was all.
I mean, well, Rebecca is also a Lashunta, so I mean, I feel like you got slapped by at least 2 different people before we rebooted the game. Even though there was that one Asogi that liked you. She even sent you a pinup hologram of herself.
Yeah, there was that. That was true.
Yeah, not everyone.
Not a complete.
Yeah, not everyone hates you. So the themes you don't want to see. Obviously, this isn't going to get like too terribly dark. So there's not going to be a whole lot of like really bad stuff in it. But there's going to be some. So there's going to be war and conflict, and people will probably die horribly. But is there any specific themes that are just like not interesting to you? Not even just stuff you necessarily like, ugh, that's terrible, I don't want it. But just something you think is boring, maybe even just like something that's really common in games that you're like, well, I don't want to see this.
The death of a player character?
The death of a player character? That is actually a good question. So that's something that we should talk about. So PC death, yes or no? And we can do that on an individual player-by-player character, but that is a legitimate thing. Are you willing for your character to die? Obviously, if they do, that's kind of a big deal. You've invested a lot of time and thought into this character. You've gotten to know them. You can often be very attached to them, and now they're gone. But at the same time, without player death, kind of the fangs of the game are blunted significantly because you know that your character can't actually die.
I feel like player death is an important part of keeping interactions realistic because, like you just said, if you know that your character's not going to die, it doesn't matter if you run out into the middle of a bunch of guys and get killed to death.
Killed to death. I like that. Yep.
I'm worried that player death will slow the pace of the game, though, because we'll have to be a lot more careful.
So what about this? So we'll have player death as an option. If your character would die, I'll give you the choice. You can either survive, but with something significant. Like, let's say you just got attacked by a giant rhino alien with a laser axe, and he just cut you in half. You should be dead. But I'll let you survive, but you lose an arm. Something like that, where there's going to be significant both art role-playing and mechanical changes, so that there's still some teeth to it, but you have the option, if you don't feel it's the right time for your character to die, or you just really like them and want to keep going with them, you have the option of them not dying.
What happens if a character dies? Are you just not playing anymore?
No, we make you a new character. You either take on an NPC that's already existing, or we make a new character, figure out how they fit into the plot, and then just bring in somebody else. It's not old school D&D where it's like, all right, your character's dead, get out.
You're out of the group.
Leave the pizza behind. You're out.
But losing a character that you've grown attached to can be traumatizing.
Yeah, Wayne lost 2 characters in the pirate game. One of them, so he was playing 2 characters at the start of the game. One of them got murdered as part of, so they were originally shanghaied by other pirates. They weren't pirates to start with, and part of establishing their brutality and how much some of these other guys are jerks. There was actually a part where a character is sent to go clean out the village with 2 other people who hate the PCs. PCs is player characters.
Gotcha.
NPC is non-player.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like I use a lot of acronyms, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, throwing it out there. Good call.
But yeah, so he went down there. The 2 people hate him and try to kill him, and they rolled really well. So they killed him and then knocked over a bunch of barrels. They murdered him, knocked a bunch of barrels over on top of him, and then went upstairs and were like, "Oh, there was an accident."
Oh my god.
So his extra character was killed. So then, of course, his character who survived had a chip on his shoulder for the rest of the game, until he was also killed because he had become the captain. Rebecca's character was more like a devious scheming type, and she wanted to be captain, but didn't come out and say it.
This is the one that became a god.
Yes, this is the one that murdered the entire crew, became a lich, eventually became a god, etc. She was thoroughly evil by the end of the game. But then she saw an opportunity where the ship had been attacked by a wizard who turned herself invisible and was flying and shooting spells down at the ship, so they couldn't find her to kill her. And they did eventually kill her, but not until after Wayne's character had been hit by several scorching rays and was in the dying, so he was bleeding out, basically. And he could have stabilized. He almost certainly would have survived. But Rebecca's character has a spell called Bleed that keeps the person from stabilizing and has them continue to bleed out. So she came over to his character and was like, "No, Ribbon, you have to survive!" Quietly casts Bleed on him when no one's looking. "You've got to make it, Captain!" And kept him from recovering until he bled out and died. And then was like, "Oh, I'm so sad, it's terrible." Completely fooled the entire crew, rolled really well on her bluff checks. Had him like cremated at sea, the whole thing, and then took over the captaincy.
The ship became the Ribbon's Tears, and it bled tears from the masthead.
Yeah, so they had a mermaid masthead, and they used magic to take some of Ribbon's actual blood and magically recreate it so that it was always just crying actual blood. Ribbon's actual blood, and it was called the Ribbon's Tears. And it had the added advantage of attracting sharks, so when someone had to walk the plank on their ship, it was a bad time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Her character went full evil. There was a guy who pissed her off, so she was fighting him. She ended up getting him paralyzed so he couldn't move. Then her high heels were actual like stiletto heels, actual knives. So she went over to his paralyzed body, still completely conscious, still aware of everything, and slowly pushed her heel into his skull. Then took her boot off, and after he was dead, after being, killed in a horrible way, she then turned him into a statue with her actual boot, and he was actually him as a statue. Had them build the rest of her body, and then set that up on her personal island as a warning to her enemies. To become a lich...
Dark.
To become a lich, she had to collect the souls of a very large number of people. So she went to the equivalent of like some random part of Africa and slaughtered thousands of the local inhabitants to get their souls. Yeah.
She got him.
I told you, she went full evil.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair though, at the point where I went full evil, I was the only player character because no one else was playing this game. So it was just Thomas and I.
No, there were still other people at the point where you slaughtered all the natives.
Oh, well, then I have no excuse and I apologize to the world.
You are history's true monster.
My wife, ladies and
Just
gentlemen.
call her Space Hitler.
Space Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Spitler.
so does that sound good to everybody? Player death is there, but I will give you a choice between either having like something bad and permanent happen to your character. So it's not just gonna be like, oh, I'm a robot bomb now, but it's totally the same and nothing's changed, or dying. So you can keep your character if things do go very badly.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And the Starfinder is much more based around being a little bit more active anyway, because they actually have 2 systems for health. So in Pathfinder, you just have your hit points. And once they're gone, you're dying, and then if you're too much damage below that, you're dead. In Starfinder, you actually have you ever played Mass Effect? Have you played a game where you have some sort of, like, regenerating shield,
Yes.
and then your health that doesn't regenerate?
Yes.
It's like that. So you have a thing called stamina, and that's your ability to just shrug off certain amounts of damage. And that's and you first damage goes out of that. Then once that's depleted, you go into hit points, and that's actually like you're getting hurt.
Right.
So then the stamina is really easy to get back. All you have to do is rest for 15 minutes and spend I forget what the resource is called, but you have like a certain number of like willpower points basically. And then you recover all of your stamina. So it's super easy to get that back. But then once you go past that, it's harder to get health back. You need either stim packs or some sort of magic healing. Like, it's harder to get hit points back.
Right.
But it encourages you to be active where you're like, okay, we're going to go. Okay, 15-minute rest, go. You know, you don't have to feel like we have to get through this whole dungeon.
Without
all
getting
of this
hurt.
is going straight to hit points.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, it's already built to be a little bit more active like that.
Love it.
Okay, cool. So player death is kind of taken care of. So then themes you don't want to see. I think it's boring if there's some giant, faceless, Sith Empire style enemy where they're just like, I'm Darth Vader and I have a giant army and whatever. Is that boring to you? What else? I don't know, just anything that just like is a theme that you just don't think would be interesting to be in the game, or you specifically don't want to see anything like that. And then obviously if something comes up in the game, we're like, whoa, that was not cool, Thomas. Just let me know, and we can take care of it at that point.
Can't think of anything.
Cool. So I think
Down
that's
for whatever.
cool.
How about how adult it could get?
That is a good question. Everybody just shaking.
Because, like, for an example,
what's the
the
name
first
of this?
session
Oh,
we
I
ever
was
did, the
looking
first
at
session of
Instagram
Starfinder we
posts.
ever did with a friend of ours, there was a guy that was, like, getting ready to do some things with the redhead in her.
We missed most of what you said.
What?
Oh.
Someone's doing
I
something
was
with
saying-
a redhead?
Yeah, like the first time we ever played Pathfinder, there was a different GM, and his friend was like getting ready to do some things with a redhead in her room.
Oh, in real life?
No. In the game.
Oh!
No,
The guy
in the
was
game.
like, oh, this redhead.
So like
likes
his
me.
character
Let's
goes
go
into this
upstairs
house
and,
with this
get it
redheaded
off.
girl.
There you go.
I'm okay with adult themes. Maybe avoid graphic explanations of sexual acts.
So
There
he
you go.
takes.
I grip her thumb. Girlfriend.
So you see, he takes his proboscis and
Yeah!
places it into the woman's holes.
What is
And
it? There's
that-
words. There's special words for the penis and the vagina, right? You guys have special words?
So he takes his balls and he puts them inside the woman, and this is how intercourse functions.
Oh my god.
I am an
Right,
adult who knows
Thomas, use
things.
the word.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, I'm not gonna get super excited.
Right.
Like in the last game, or before the reboot of this game, Rebecca's character had a girlfriend who she was also a Lashunta. They had a relationship, and the most graphic it got was like, all right, it's the next morning, and I would assume you guys had great sex. You want to roll for it, Rebecca?
They're telepathic. Their sex has to be great.
Yep.
Like a mind meld.
Okay, no, it's like what are the blue aliens from Mass Effect, where it's the same thing. It's like everyone wants to have sex with them because they do that. They like have this mental link with their partner, and so it's this whole like reverberating
Like Avatar.
Yeah, kind of, except not with ponytails.
Fewer ponytails.
So they put their ponytails together, as is typical of human courtship. Okay, cool. So then, I think we're pretty much ready to actually do character creation. Does anyone have anything else that they want to say, just that I have it in mind? Before we get started? No? Okay, cool. So then, Wreckage. Was there anything you wanted to change about Wreckage other than making him back into a level... Oh, you're still level 1. Other than getting rid of what small amount of XP that you have?
All down.
No, I can't think of anything I really want to change.
He's
I mean, I
50
think
points
personality
away
will be
from
a little
leveling up.
different, but his race and class and all that sort of stuff should probably be the same.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll go through and get rid of like the gear you picked up during the game and the money, but that's about it.
Yeah.
He's 50
Can I
points
still
away
have
from
my
leveling
hollow
up.
leg?
It's crazy. What? Yeah, you can still have the hollow leg.
Woo! I know where I'm going to keep.
Nice.
Stink finger.
Yeah, that was Abe's character. He's a goblin.
Mr. Ruby.
And yes, no, you do not want, if he says smell my finger, do not do it. But yeah, so Anna's character was a holotuber, it's basically a YouTuber, based off of PewDiePie, named Spewdy Die. And Stinkfinger was her little buddy / pet goblin.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that was something I still wanted to get back to. So, in terms of the way the game went last time, so of course Jason has no idea about this question, but in terms of the way the game went last time, was there anything that you specifically wanted to see happen similarly? Anything you wanted to see happen differently in that area?
No, I don't think I really have a preference. Either way is good. It was really good last time. I think it could be really good different. So
Okay.
I'm gonna let you decide.
And then the other thing would be, in terms of the NPCs that you met, especially the ones that kind of ended up joining your group, were there any that you, same question, that you wanted to see again or that you didn't want to see again?
Well, obviously, I want to see the girl that liked me again, whose name I've forgotten by this
You
point.
never got her name.
I'm horrible.
You never even asked
Darn.
what her name was.
Oh.
The entire game, all you knew was that she was the black-haired Isoki with the purple stripe.
That's all men ever know.
The one that got away.
Well, I want to meet her again so I can ask her her name.
Yes.
I'll fix my previous mistakes.
Just ask her what her sign is, and she can say stop. Anyway, cool. Rebecca, did you have any thoughts on that?
I'm good either way. Like I said, I really liked the people we met and the way things went. But if you wanted to change it up, you're always really, really good at world creation and making sure that people fit and whatnot. So I trust you.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And of course, we have the meta knowledge disclaimer in there too.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course.
Well, I'm sure things will end up going differently, if for no other reason than just that your characters are different, so they're going to make different choices now.
Yeah, that's true.
So then let's do character creation. Kima.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sparky. Should Sparky still be a thing?
I mean, you're still a mechanic, so unless you're going to go with a cybernetic implant instead of a drone, then you're still going to have a drone.
Yeah, I think I'll still keep Sparky.
Okay. And then XP or no XP? So do you guys want to get XP individually from encounters, or do you want me to just go along with the story? Because there are points where it's like, okay, you should be level 2 by this point, you should be level 3 by this point. So it's up to you guys. It's just a little extra time, to remember. I often forget, so if you finish a combat and I forget to give you XP, remind me. Or we can just not do XP, and it's just that, okay, cool, you guys are at this point in the story, you should be level 2, let's level you all up.
I like progression.
So do you want to have the crunchiness of actually having XP, or do you want to just be like, I'm not too worried about it, just make me the level I should be? That's the question.
I don't know. What do the other people think? Because I like having that, but also I don't want it to slow the game down too much.
Yeah.
I personally enjoy gaining XP. I kind of miss it when we don't have it.
Okay. Yeah, we were doing XP last time as well.
I like the XP. The only thing we kind of have right now is the multiple users and getting kicked out and then trying to log back in to enter everything is kind of a pain.
It is, and we're just gonna have to live with it. Or you can print your character sheets out and keep track of stuff on paper, and then enter the changes later. It's up to you, whatever works better. Because you can print out. You can just if you go to the gear icon, there's a print option, and then you can print out your character sheet to a PDF, and then just keep it locally. But then the big advantage to having this on Hero Lab Online is that you can actually I don't have to be like, okay, tell me what gear you have and then update all your sheets. You do it yourself. Works a lot better. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, so let's do yes to XP then.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, did you want to work on... So we're going to make you level 1, obviously, and then did you want to work on changing your class over? Did you want me to just do it for you? Did you want to do it later?
I kind of thought I would log in, sometime tomorrow and work on changing it, and then if I get stuck, we can just do it in an evening when you're free.
Cool.
But it's 4 o'clock, and I need to go start dinner and stuff, so, yeah.
Yep, that works with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to head off soon too.
Bye, everybody. It was nice to talk to you.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Nice to meet you.
Bye. So did you
This is why the workday should end at 3 o'clock. So you gotta start dinner at 4.
Agree. No. I'll agree.
This is why we never make dinner.
I'll agree. So then, Jason, did you want to get started on your character?
Yes.
So why don't you come over here and we can use my giant freaking screen.
Giant freaking screen.
Yeah, the screen on this is the best part.
Giant Belgium screen.
Hey, watch it.
Oh no, you said something horrible. They're gonna demonetize us so fast. I don't get enough views to make any money off of YouTube. When I get like 10 views on a video, I'm surprised. So you're gonna be a dwarf. It's a dwarf.
Oh, I already thought of my name.
Okay.
Braun Stronghammer. With a U. Yeah. It's ironic.
That was not helpful. It's perfect.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
I like him.
This one's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's just the Starfinder dwarf.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Ooh.
good.
Ooh. I like that one.
So there's actually one thing that might be interesting. Instead of a specialist, there's a fighter class that specializes in like armor. And so what you do is you still have weapons, but your main thing is actually just wearing big, heavy armor. And later in the game, once you have access to a power armor, and then just like going around and being a walking tank. Like instead of stabbing someone with a sword, you just punch holes in it. So no? Okay.
I'm a tank in a past life. I've moved on.
Okay, so you're still more interested in like being stealthy. I mean, are you thinking more up close? Are you thinking knives and pistols kind of operative, or are you thinking sniper rifles and landmines kind of operative?
That one. I was thinking sniper rifles. I was thinking mostly avoiding direct conflict.
Okay. And then is this good enough for the time being?
Yeah, I like that.
People make.
It's like stealthy but still dwarven.
So I'll add that in later. The line. This is good. Really annoying. So the problem is this is actually a fairly new product. They made something called Hero Lab that's like a desktop program that you run and you do a lot of the same things with it. But then for their newer systems, so like I have all of your characters for like Pony Game in Pathfinder in just Hero Lab locally. And then for their newer systems, including Pathfinder 2.0, which we're not going to do originally, they're doing this HeroLab.online, which is a RESTful web service type thing. And it's really great, but it's still very new. And one of the things they haven't gotten worked out is I have a number of licenses, which is basically like how many concurrent users you can have.
Okay.
Yeah. In the third Spyro game, you can hit triangle or X at the end of the jump, and then at the end of the glide, and then it like jumps you up a little bit so that you can get on top of cliffs that you get to. But in the first Spyro game, you just glide the edge, and you get like 1 pixel below where you're supposed to hit, and then you just and then you fall and then you die.
Oh, actually, also, this is probably really boring for anyone who is theoretically watching. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.
So if anyone is watching, good for you.
Thank you, and
Thanks for watching.
I'm sorry that everything is really kind of rough around the edges right now. Bye!